Welcome to another writing lesson. This is lesson 3 of term 3, week 2, 2021. Today we're adding dynamic dialogue. Our learning intention today is to be able to add dialogue to a story that makes sense, to be able to use capital letters correctly in uninterrupted dialogue, to be able to use correct punctuation of uninterrupted dialogue. Our success criteria: I can add dialogue to a story that makes sense. I can use capital letters correctly in uninterrupted dialogue. I can use punctuation of uninterrupted dialogue. Dynamic dialogue. So let's review what we learned about dynamic dialogue, or adding direct speech to a text yesterday. So another word for dialogue is direct speech. This is when you write something, your character says exactly how they're saying it. The reader knows that your character is talking because they can see the quotation marks. Here is an example of, let me just organize my pointer. Here is an example of quotation marks being used correctly. So the direct speech in this sentence is at the beginning. So the direct speech is, "Can we go to the beach, please?" So we have the opening of the quotation marks at the beginning of the direct speech. We have the punctuation for that sentence. In this case, it's a question mark. And then we close the direct speech with the quotation marks here. Notice that there's a capital letter, just like at the start of a sentence. So, "Can we go to the beach, please?" begged Molly. Here is an example of direct speech at the end of a sentence. So our sentence starts with a capital letter. Miss Copeland yelled, "Watch out!" So if you have your direct speech at the end of a sentence, you need to have a comma before your direct speech starts. So the direct speech in this sentence is "watch out." So our quotation mark begins at the start at watch. We have the punctuation for that little part of the sentence included inside the quotation marks. So your task today is to add dialogue or direct speech to the creation story Tiddalik. You need to add at least 2 lines of dialogue or direct speech to each paragraph of the story Tiddalik. Okay, here's an example. So here is a paragraph from the creation story Tiddalik. Let's have a read through. "When all the other animals came to the billabong for a drink, they discovered there wasn't any water left." Here's an example of how I have included some direct dialogue after this first sentence. So it says, "When all of the animals came to the billabong for a drink, they discovered that there wasn't any water left." I start a new line for my direct speech. "Hey, where has all the water gone?" said Kookaburra angrily. Now, this direct speech is at the beginning of a sentence, so I have a capital letter. The quotation marks are at the start of the direct speech. The punctuation is inside the closing of the quotation marks. And then I said, asked Kookaburra angrily. "I bet I know where it's gone," the emu exclaimed. So once again, this direct speech is at the beginning of the sentence. So we start with a capital letter. The start of the direct speech has the opening quotation marks. At the end of the direct speech, we put the punctuation, which in this case is a comma. Then close the quotation marks. The emu exclaimed. Now, notice that I haven't just said, "Hey, where has all the water gone?" said Kookaburra. "I bet I know where it is," said the emu. I've added some more interesting dialogue to make the sentence a bit more interesting. Instead of saying, said Kookaburra, I've said, asked Kookaburra angrily. And at the end of this sentence, I said, the emu exclaimed. Try and think of some more descriptive dialogue to put at the end of your direct speech. So let's go back and review what we need to do. So you need to add at least 2 lines of dialogue or direct speech to each paragraph of the story Tiddalik. Once you have done that, you can take a photo of your work and you can upload it for your teacher to see on Teams. Good luck.